and it would be vaguely educational. We did maths and stuff like that, and art and computer design and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But more importantly, kind of kept her engaged and excited and interesting. So that's kind of how it started. And Cora wanted to do a dungeon crawl because she'd seen me play dungeon crawls with my friends or play D&D with my friends and things like that. And although there are a few dungeon crawlers out for kids like Mice and Mystics and Stuffed Fables and things, they're not that many. So, and Cora really wanted to play one, so that's what I thought. Let's just design one, basically. So that's what we did. We just designed it. It was only meant for us. It was Cora did the majority of the design, and I kind of gave suggestions here and there. But that initial game was 90% hers, really.
That's great.
And kind of based on, borrowed quite heavily from Funkoverse and Zombicide, but still 90%. I mean, most games designers borrow stuff from other people as well.
Yes.
So 90% her. And then we were playing it, and I thought, well, I might have a go at developing that a little bit, and so I kind of tweaked some rules here and tweaked some there, always in kind of collaboration with her. But I was thinking about this the other day. Really, she designed it and I developed it. That's probably where the partnership is. So I changed a few things and I made things a bit smoother and used my kind of experience of board gaming to round it off. And then my friend Gary, who is a very talented artist, he saw me posting about this on Facebook and talking about it on my podcast. And just for a joke, really, he made up a mock-up of her cover and said, "Coming to Kickstarter soon, CORAQUEST." And I went, oh, and then I was chatting with Gary, and he said, "Well, if you want to do something with it, I'll do the art for it." And so initially we thought, well, we'll just put out print and play. We'll just do a print and play. It means other people can enjoy what we've done, and we'll do a print and play. So then I started playtesting it with other people on Tabletop Simulator, and also playtesting it a lot more with Cora and things like that, and developing it and rounding it off and getting some of the mechanics that are in place today, like the spiders that came from a playtesting kind of thing about people saying, well, what people don't explore. And I won't go into the mechanics of it. So basically, if you don't keep progressing through the dungeon, then spiders start popping up and start attacking you and things like that. So it just pushes you onwards rather than dilly dallying. And that came from playtesting, and so did the dice rolling thing, where if you miss, then excuse me, your hero becomes determined, and basically you get to roll more dice next time. So lots of really good ideas came out of the playtesting kind of process. And I started thinking, do you know what? Now we've refined it even more. I think this is a good game. I know I'm biased, but I think this is a really good game. And I also think there's a real gap in the market for a really simple kids dungeon crawler aimed at kids. Because although Stuffed Fables and Mice and Mystics is there, they're still quite complex. I don't know if you've played either of those two, but they're still a little bit complex.
Oh no, for sure.
And I hadn't played Karak at that time, and I know Karak's meant to be even more simple. Or Quest Kids, I don't think was even out then. So I thought, well, shall we do a Kickstarter? Let's have a go at Kickstarter, maybe. And then Gary was on board, and then my friend Mark, who now owns Bright Eye Games, but at the time was working for the Plastic Soldier Company. He's a professional board game project manager, basically, and he runs the Aircon convention over in the UK.
Oh, okay.
Lots of things like that. So he's organised, and I'm the opposite of organised, really. So and plus he knows the kind of email addresses of people who can manufacture the game and ship the game, because I mean that's the thing that would petrify me, although less so now because it's actually fairly straightforward if you know what you do. You know what I mean? But it's just that initial kind of.
Oh yeah, it's completely foreign to you, like anything else that you try for the first time, and then you kind of get the hang of it. And obviously there's still snafus and things that can go wrong, but yeah, I think one time around,
we were quite lucky in that very very little went wrong with that actual side of things, other than the prices all went up, but that was fine. We were able to swallow that. So you've distracted me now. I've forgotten what I was going to say, but yeah. So basically, we did a Kickstarter, and it went really, really well. And the media started getting involved. I had another friend I knew who works in PR, and he said, "Oh, I'll just fire off some PR, some press releases for you and stuff. And so we got on BBC National TV live. It kind of came out at the right moment because it was right in the middle of the third lockdown in the UK,
Okay.
where people were looking for something pleasant to talk about, and everyone was back to homeschooling again. So we were the entire process. We've been incredibly lucky. There is no way that we would have been as successful if it wasn't for a number of people being very kind to us, and B, accidentally timing it really well. So the Kickstarter came out during the third lockdown, and I think it was it's a relatively bright story, and so the Guardian picked it up. We were on BBC TV a few times, things like that. So that got some backers and things like that. So there you go. There we go. And then it got we delivered it this year, around about kind of end of December, beginning of January this year. And people have been really kind about it, and I think it's gone down well. I mean, you were very kind about it.
Absolutely. I mean, and you
partner,
guys,
not so much though.
yeah.
About the box
Well,
side.
no. Eric complains about everything. In fact, on my notes here, in the same page, I have two columns I'm looking at. One of them is things to ask you. The left side of the column is about our August podcast that we just recorded, and a few lines down, it just says Eric complains, because I have to be sure to put that in the description of almost every video that we do. No, but to your point, very well received, and a lot of that has to do with you guys, right? Because you are obviously supporting this thing 100% beyond its initial, leap into the universe. You've got plenty of things to keep people busy on the website in terms of, you've got the narration of some of the adventures. You've got the ability for people to create their own adventures, their own heroes, their own cards, and things like that. And then obviously with the expansion coming out, coming to Kickstarter soon, you'll have even more stuff going on. So it's really it is filling a gap in the market, I would say, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a bit of a delay with it coming to retail, which is a little bit frustrating. And the main reason, there's two reasons for that, basically. The first reason is that Bright Eye Games, sensibly, I'm not criticizing them, wanted to print all the copies at the same time. So what they've done is they've done a localization game, which is incredibly exciting. Localization deal, incredibly exciting. So it's being printed in Chinese and French and Polish and Korean. Okay, so they're the I think that's it. They're the four places it's being published. But in order for that to be as cost effective for everybody, they print it all at the same time. So all the copies get printed at the same time, and then kind of split up, and then you get the bulk deals and things. So, but because of that, and because CORAQUEST is such a text-heavy game, they needed to translate it, and that's what the delay has been mainly. It's been the localization partners possibly underestimating how much text needed to be translated. So that was all ready to go around the time we actually delivered. So around kind of February time, the end of our delivery time was they were ready to press print on the retail version, which is great because the Kickstarter, one of the things we said with the Kickstarter is we want to bring the retail version out after the, because we couldn't afford to do loads of minis and all. In fact, I don't think minis would suit this game. We couldn't afford to do loads of Kickstarter exclusives and things, but we also did want to thank the Kickstarter backers. So one of the ways of doing that was, at that point, was they get their game before anyone gets it in retail. But we didn't realize quite how long it was going to be before anyone gets in retail.
Right.
Because as soon as they were ready to press print, and then Shanghai went into lockdown due to COVID, and they were shut for 2 to 3 months. And so they've only just recently come out of lockdown. And so the retail version of the game is still being printed, nearly finished being printed, and it's going to be put on boats soon. So we wanted it to be out kind of March, April, but really it's going to be out kind of September, October, which is a shame because it feels like we lost some of that momentum, if you see what I mean.
Oh, yeah, of course. There's nothing you can do about that part, right?
No. It is what it is, isn't it? But yes, we have done this expansion. In fact, I started writing the expansion shortly after I'd sent all the files off for the Kickstarter thing, because we were buzzing about it. So Cora and I have been slowly working on expansion for the last year, really. And yeah, that's coming to Kickstarter in October, which will be roughly the same time as the retail version comes out, but also not too long away for the people who bought back the Kickstarter. They might still be interested in it, because the problem with doing a kids game is if you leave it 4 years until the expansion comes out, the people who originally bought the game are going to say, well, my kids are all 18 now; they're not going to be
Right.
interested in it anymore. So it's that kind of weird balancing act. I think. I mean, we're not. I'm not massively commercially minded or anything like that, but I am proud of the game, and I would like lots of people to play the game. Do you know what I
Of
mean?
course.
So
So
yeah.
going back to for a minute, the expansion, I should say, when you were designing the original, were there some parts that you developed kind of with that in mind? Like, were there extra? No, it was like a brand new slate. Let's think of new stuff.
Yeah, well, I'm not. I probably shouldn't say this. I'm not the biggest fan of expansions. I'm not the biggest fan of expansions that add 7 different mechanics on that you have to put another sideboard on, and it makes the game 20 times more complicated and things
Right,
like that.
right.
So the idea of an expansion, I always had in my mind that we could do more, but the main thing that I've been focusing on is, more adventures rather than more mechanics,
Right.
if that makes any sense.
That makes
Um,
a lot of sense, and I'm with you on that. I want more of the same generally with my expansions
yeah, exactly.
because I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
want to relearn the game or consult multiple rule books, and it
No,
just less likely the game's going to get out for
that
me.
exactly. And we've all been in the situation where you've bought a game and the expansion, and you never play the expansion because every single time you bring the game out, there's somebody new playing, and you go, okay, well, we'll
Hmm.
leave the expansion to one side for now, and we'll just play the base game.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I wanted to avoid all the pit traps that I don't like about expansions. So basically, the original plan was just more adventures, and more treasure cards and more heroes, but more of the same, basically. However, there was quite a lot of people calling for a campaign. They were saying their kids were a little bit disappointed that between games they can't carry their treasure over, or they
Mm.
can't level up and things like that. Now, originally, I did consider doing a campaign, but one of the issues I have with games with campaigns is you only ever play the first adventure. Um, so people think they want a campaign, but then they play the first adventure over and over and over again, or the first 2 adventures, and the campaign stalls, so they start it again, or they haven't played for 6 months, so they go, "Oh, I can't remember where we were there. Let's go back to the beginning.
Right.
We'll start
Yep.
again." So one of the key things with this campaign system I wanted to do was that although we are including a campaign, and although we are including ways of scaling up the difficulty to deal with the fact that you can now keep your treasure between adventures, and you can now level up, so you'll be able to level up, so you'll be able to get more special abilities or more stat boosts or all sorts of stuff. In fact, you can choose how you level up, basically. So it's like a number of options you can choose for, kind of to tailor your character. I also want every single game in that expansion to be playable on its own, you know, without having to play it in a campaign.
Right.
So that's what I've done. I've basically all the there's 2 different campaigns of 5 games each, and then each adventure within that each campaign can be played individually without any kind of adaptation or anything like that. Or there's ways of playing it in as an overarching storyline. So
Hmm.
it all has an overarching storyline, and scaling up the difficulty through these things called curses, basically. So once you've played 2 games in a row of a campaign, you get a curse, which makes it slightly harder. So generally, well, it does. It makes the
Right.
baddies more difficult to deal with, and also leveling up. So, and this is an exclusive Board Game Dad's exclusive, because I haven't really talked about um, how the leveling up is going to work. Basically, all the treasure cards has got coins on, and you're going to be able to use those coins to buy training. So, in other words,
Oh, okay.
you can go on to the adventuring school for 6 gold coins after the quest. You can go to the adventuring school and train and get another special ability, or maybe get 1 more point of health or things like that.
Okay.
So it's going to make. I mean, kids are already pretty keen on getting treasure. Whenever I play test with kids, it's like always run off to get some treasure. But it's going to make that even more important. So that's how the leveling up's going to work. So you can, and then there can be a range of special abilities you can pick for. You can choose your own training,
Right.
basically.
Right. Yeah,
Um,
that sounds great. Chris here over the Tabletop Express is commenting that he's a big fan of the modular style campaigns. They do add a lot of replayability, for sure. To your point, the problem with having to play with a new person, maybe it's you always go back to, oh, let's do the intro or the tutorial, things like that. So if they're all
Yeah.
kind of on the same page, manageable. I find this is one of the reasons why I've really been loving Welcome to the Moon lately, the flip and write game, because it comes with 8 different boards, and essentially there is a campaign of sorts that you can play through, and you get these points for winning each level. So you can kind of
Mhm.
like get a grand total at the end of all 8, but you can just as easily sit down and take out board number 5 and just play that game.
And I
And
think that's the
that's
best way. I think
yeah,
that adaptability, I think, is really useful.
yeah,
And similarly with this one, this campaign system, you can take that and you can use it with the original game as well. So if you want to play the original game as a campaign, then you will be able to do that. Um,
awesome.
so yeah, so it's really exciting. Cora's really excited by it as well. You know, she's been helping with the campaign writing, and she's been helping with the she's got this, and it's not an unreasonable desire because she's a really good artist, but she really wants to be a professional artist when she grows up.
Okay,
So her focus has kind of switched from that mechanical thing to the art. And while we are still obviously because one of the big things about CORAQUEST is the art is how I think fantastic, and it's basically drawn from basically kids have submitted art to us, and our artist has traced it and then coloured it in. It looks
hmm
fantastic. Look, I've got special promo there. Look, that's a Dice Tower promo.
Oh, very
Yeah,
nice.
but that's the kind of thing it looks like. Anyway, so but she's been doing some art for it and things like that. That's what she's really excited about at the moment.
Yeah,
And then
I was very impressed that this whole thing happened with both of you. I mean, it as a dad, right? It's got to be awesome for you to see that evolution and her grow with the game, right? And her find her niche and things like that. And so I have to ask because a lot of cards kind of fell in line for you guys. There was a little bit of good luck, so to speak, as you said. But when you had things like the BBC and being on TV and things like that, how did Cora deal with her newfound fame? I guess is my question.
well, Matt Cook's Matt Cook's meant to be at Gen Con doing stuff. Get back to Gen Con and professionalizing stuff.
He's got
That's
2 days. I know he's probably there
he, Mark's the third member of the team. Well, I spoke about Mark already. And she handled it really well. I mean, the thing was, because we were in lockdown, all the TV shows and things previously they would have brought us into the studio, and then we would have both been petrified. But as it was just like this.
now. Right.
Basically, we couldn't even see the presenter on the screen. It was just like a phone call,
Gotcha.
really. And so it was pretty. She got to a point. We did quite a. Mark saying he's waiting for stuff to be delivered. Don't say that, Mark. You'll upset me. I've already upset about. Anyway, I'm already stressed. Mark's an incredibly laid back person. I'm kind of like, as I say, checking the delivery.
Yeah.
The
Constantly hitting refresh.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, she handled it fine. She did get to a point where she said, "I've had enough now." We got interviewed. I think we got interviewed on live TV and then live radio and then 2 pre-recorded TV shows in one day, and then the day after the Guardian newspaper and another thing. And she said, "I don't want to do it anymore." And that's when I said, "No, okay, then you don't."
Yeah.
Basically, and we actually got approached by another TV company who said, "Oh, will you come on?" And I said no because there's a this has always got to be fun for her. I refuse to make this something that I'm exploiting her for, and I refuse to make this something that she's not going to look back with joy on
Sure.
and pride on. And so I refuse to push her into doing anything she's not comfortable doing. So she's not here now because she said to me she doesn't want to do any more interviews, and it's
Yeah.
like, I mean, it'd be better if she could because A, she's got more charisma than me, and B, you know, it's good, but she says no, so it's like, well, I'm not pushing because
No. And I mean, if she wants to make, if she has those career aspirations, then this is a level headedness that is a good quality to have. That she can
yeah. Well, she doesn't want to be a Vogue. Everyone kind of. Oh right, okay. The CORAQUEST is actually at Gen Con. Oh,
Hey.
exciting. She doesn't. Sorry,
That's
I'm
exciting.
having a conversation with Mark while doing your live thing. She didn't want to be a board game designer. Everyone really wanted to be a board game designer, but she says, no, I want to be an artist. It's like, whatever. You already are a professional board game designer, so that's fine.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Not many people can say that they've done what she did. So
exactly.
Hats off to her for sure. So going back to the artwork for a little bit, the CORAQUEST box has all the names of all the children who submitted artwork that was in the game. I forget the totals.
And who submitted artwork that wasn't in the game.
Okay, that was going to be that was my question actually. So,
yeah.
So without we don't want to hurt anybody's feelings here, but was there some very poor artwork?
No,
was submitted?
No, because it's kids' artwork. You can't be poor at. No artwork can be poor because it's all an expression of creativity. The reason we didn't use it was because we were using something else. But we used artwork from 3-year-olds. We used artwork from 40-odd-year-olds who snuck it in sneakily. I don't know if you're aware. But Eric Summerer got some of his artwork in because he sent it to us and told us it was from his son, which was irritating. but still. The chap with the gold coins on. I don't know if you remember the chap with the gold coins.
Okay,
that's Eric Summerer's artwork.
Oh man, that's going to forever change every time I play
the
the game.
artist arranged from 40 odd, which is Eric, and then a big gap, and then kind of 15 to 2-year-olds, basically. And it's not about what's good artwork, and we weren't interested in good. We were interested in the soul of the artwork, right. If that makes any sense. The reason we put every kid's name on the box was because all the kids inspired us in some way. We valued every single person's thing. There were no winners and losers. This wasn't a competition. It wasn't like win the competition and get your art on this. It was like, it was a collaborative effort, and some people's stuff got used and some people's didn't. And I've heard from people who said, I know my kid's stuff didn't get used, but she's pretty convinced that picture is hers and her name's on the box, so she's really happy about it. It's like, well, that's fine. That's fine. Because everyone who sent us something in contributed because it pushed us and inspired us. So they all deserve credit, is my view.
And will that be happening for the expansions as well?
Oh yeah, certainly. We started asking for art already. We're working on the box art at the moment. So there's a call out for people to send us pictures of slime pits and ice caverns. That's the other thing that's happening in the expansion. There's new environments. So there's going to be a slime pit and there's going to be ice caverns. There's also going to be other stuff which is going to be revealed in the Kickstarter. But we're working on the box. But we've got plans for asking for art for all sorts of stuff, for new heroes, enemies, treasure cards, all stuff, and all the art will come from kids. Some of it will come from Cora, but only a small percentage, like 20%, 30%. The rest of it will come from kids all over the world. We had kids from Iceland, people. We had children sending us from every single continent apart from Antarctica.
Wow,
sending us artwork, which is
that's incredible. Amazing. We know somewhere Eric Summerer is practicing his ice cavern drawings.
Exactly.
We've got Ambi who wanted to come and say just hi real quick. Says that she loves the artwork from CORAQUEST and is excited to try to get my kids to draw things for the expansion.
Ambi sent something in already. Yeah, Ambi, I've certainly put your kid's chalk drawing in our file, and that's a good example because Ambi's kids are they 2 or 3? Anyway,
I think they're 2.5 or so.
Yeah, so they're doing 2.5-year-old kids drawings, but Gary can trace that and make it into all sorts of stuff.
It really reminds me of there was an episode of Shark Tank where the company being pitched was, we take your kid's drawing and make a stuffed animal out of it.
Oh yeah.
Right, and it was like these, totally abstract, bizarre looking things, but they were, like you said, they were ultimately very genuine, right? Because they're from a very genuine, pure source, and they make them come to life. So this is very, very reminiscent of that. And like you said, having a parent say, "Hey, that's my kid's name on that box," or a kid that got artwork in, and then, like you said, maybe years from now, when they have children, imagine how cool that would be, right? Here, Daddy made this picture when he was only 6 years old, and it's in this game.
Exactly. Yeah. No. Yeah. It's really good. And Gary said to me that because he said we don't have a picture of this, and I said, well, you could just draw it. And he said, I can't draw like a kid can draw. I can pretend, but it looks fake. It looks soulless. It looks uncanny valley. Do you know what I mean? It looks like an adult trying to draw a picture like a kid. Although he's also said that most adults draw like children anyway. Most adults get to a point in their, like Eric Summerer, for example. Most adults get to a point in where they stop drawing,
Right.
and unless they continue drawing, then their kind of style stays at that level. So kind of my style is like a 15, 16-year-old ability, whereas if I kept drawing, obviously I'd get more and more
Sure.
accomplished.
Well, yeah,
But
we would all be artists.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's only practice, but I don't believe it. I refuse to put that time in.
So when Cora finally returned to the traditional school setting, was there, was she kind of like school famous when she came back?
Yeah, well, the day after she was on TV, the teach on the online lesson, because by that time they're really doing well with the online
Yeah.
lessons. The teacher played it and was really proud. The teacher backed it actually, which was really nice.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And Mr. Tate and also kids. She's got kids that have got it and played it. She feels a bit embarrassed by it, I think. We played it with my niece and nephew the other day, and that's the first time Cora had played with my niece and nephew. It was hilarious because my nephew refused to believe that me and Cora had anything to do with it. Absolute 5 years old. And I'm that kind of uncle who is constantly pulling legs and telling people, there's, basically lying. I lie to children. That's what I do. My nephew absolutely refused to believe that we had anything. No, you didn't. We did. Look, our names are here. No, you didn't. But it's lovely seeing her play it with other kids, because she feels really proud. You can,
Yeah, of course.
She's it's an accomplishment, isn't it? It really is something special for her.
Hey, it would be an accomplishment even if it didn't get to where it is today, right? If it
exactly,
ended with you guys together during lockdown making a game that was playable and some people around you played and liked, that would have been like an accomplishment within itself.
Well, to be honest, I don't think Cora really has taken on board how many other people play. The time she did was at Aircon, when we went to Aircon, which is the kind of second largest convention in the UK. Watch It Played Aircon, because they partner with it anyway. But I'm just plugging for Mark there, since he's in the comments. But she was demoing it to people, and people coming up to her and getting her to sign the box, and that was fantastic. She loved that. She absolutely loved that.
Absolutely. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I want to spend just a little bit of time talking about some other things that you are involved with. I mean, after all, you are Internet Titan, so you don't get that title by just co-designing a game with an 8-year-old. I think first time I saw you was on Board Game Breakfast on the Dice Tower, when you did a segment with Cora talking about just basically kids games that you both enjoyed. And then you started a very interesting podcast. This Game is Broken.
Right. Yep. I remember
Talk a little bit about how that started.
At the time, I was of the opinion that there wasn't enough comedy in board gaming. I felt that there was lots of informational shows, but not many lots of informational shows, but not very many entertaining shows. The emphasis of all board game media was on information, not entertainment.
Right.
I think information is that should always be in board gaming. That probably should always be the bulk of the the stuff. But as the kind of area expanded, and as the kind of media expanded, I felt there started to be pockets opening up which need filling, really. So as I said to you just earlier, the format of a panel show is really quite popular in the UK. It's been going since the 60s. And that's basically a quiz show, but one where the points don't particularly matter. It's all about the entertainment of the thing. It's not even about what the answers are. It's about trying to be entertaining, giving the answers, basically. So kind of Call My Bluff, that kind of stuff. Is that you got that in the US? Call My Bluff?
No, but I know exactly what you're talking about. When I was in high school and college, there was a TV channel that was just game shows, right? It was a game show channel, and I would stay up very late, and this was before things were available so readily on the internet. But at like 3 a.m. there was the old 50s and 60s black and white panel shows, panel game
Mhm.
shows, and they were so funny. And I had no idea who most of these people were outside of
Yeah,
like, the name as it was, but it was really entertaining. I purposely stayed up very often to watch those things. And I agree, there's not a lot of that. And it greatly depends on who the panel is, right? It's
oh,
like
yeah, 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 yeah,
a
and usually it's
party game where it depends on who's playing the game.
yeah, yeah.
And you had some very, very, very talented and entertaining people on that show, including a person who I think is one of the most undervalued people in the board gaming content space, and that's Matthew Jude.
Yes. Well, I'm not sure. No, I'm good friends with Matthew. Matthew's been my friend for a long time. So yes. So I thought, let's do this. I put together some stuff. Put together a few rounds, based that on various shows within the UK. So there's Nevermind the Buzzcocks, which is a similar thing to this game, spoken about music. There used to be They Think It's All Over, which is a sports one. There's something called I'm Sorry I've Not a Clue, which is what it's most heavily based on. And I have tried, and that's a radio show. And I have tried suggesting that to Americans, but it's so entrenched in British culture that they don't get many of the jokes. It's really quite interesting and quite rude as well. It's a very rude double entendre show, which I find hilarious. But anyway, so that's been going for years. So there's that. So I kind of amalgamate. I kind of stole is what someone less charitable than me may say. Stole all these ideas for kind of rounds and questions and stuff like that. Put it together. Matthew was in it from the start, so I was kind of the producer. Matthew was the editor. And the initial plan was myself was going to be the host. Matthew was going to be one team's permanent team captain,
right?
And Dave Loser, who's a Dutch comedian living in Germany, he was going to be the other team's permanent team captain. And we were going to get different people from the board gaming media space in to do it basically each week. So we decided to do the pilot, and we knew the brothers Murph from being on the Dice Tower with them. So basically, yeah, they came on for the pilot, and then me and Matthew went, well, should we just ask them to keep coming back because they were really good. And then that did that, and that I did that for about a year and a half, and I eventually decided, well, basically, every single person on that show wanted to be a permanent full-time board game media personality, or work in board game media full time. Apart from me, I just want to do it for a bit of a laugh and see, and it got really. There was a lot of work involved with it, and I just decided that it wasn't for me, and I'd rather step back. I created it because I wanted to see, much like CORAQUEST, I created it because I wanted to see if I could do it, and I did do it, and it was successful, and it was growing, but I'm more of a kind of tree planter, not a gardener, if that makes any sense. I like starting things off, and then
slowly stepping away. And
I just get a bit bored when it's the same over and over again. So then they brought, well, initially it was Kiki on, but then Paula on, and to be honest, number one, it's far better than being an old boys club. So that's more appropriate than me being on it. And number two, they were both much better than me anyway. So it wasn't a huge loss for this show. But yeah, so that was that. This Game's Broken. Yeah, it's still going apparently. I mean, obviously I don't listen to it now. I'm not on it, but apparently it's still going.
Yeah, it's rubbish now. All right, well, we're almost wrapped up here, folks. In the spirit of some games here, Dan, I have a couple of trivia questions for you.
Excellent.
Now, these are based on your town where you live.
Oh,
the world famous Huddersfield.
Huddersfield. I've confused everybody by calling it Huddersfield in the game, and the reason for that. Do you know the reason for that?
No.
The reason for that is Jodie Whittaker, who was the most recent Doctor Who.
Okay.
She's from Huddersfield, and she went on Letterman or something like that, or Conan. It was in Conan. I've been to Letterman, I saw Letterman live. Anyway, whatever. She went on Conan, and the subtitle person, she said, "Oh, I'm from a town called Huddersfield," and the subtitle person spelt it Hoodersfield. I spelt it like I spelled it in CORAQUEST, HOODEZ field. So yeah, well, it used to be one of your favourite programs, Ambi, didn't it? Until I left. But sorry, it amuses me to do it. Yeah. So that's my call it. Anyway, what was? Go on, you got some questions. Sorry, I'm interrupting.
Yeah, let's go. We're gonna wrap it up with some trivia here. Now, I took this quiz earlier based purely on guessing because I didn't look anything up. And I think I got 2 out of 10 questions right by guessing. So hopefully you do better than that. The bar is set pretty low.
I've got my pen.
All right, here we go. Number 1. What is the name of the shopping center that opened in Huddersfield in the early 2000s? There are multiple choices if you would like some choices, unless you know it right off the bat.
Is it Kirkgate?
That is not one of the options, so I will read you the 4 choices.
Yep.
We have Queensgate.
Queensgate. There you go. I knew it was something gate.
Final answer. All right, number 2. Huddersfield Town AFC.
Got a knock-off Apple store in it. Go on. Sorry.
Huddersfield Town AFC play at the Galfram Stadium.
They do.
What was the name of the stadium when it was first built?
McAlpine Stadium.
Very nice.
He's a builder. He's McAlpine.
What county is your town in? Boy, you should know this.
Good grief. West Yorkshire or York, depending. West Yorkshire is if the proper thing, but Yorkshire if you want to call it Yorkshire.
All right. Well, West is one of the choices, so I'm going to click that. This is a TV show named Holmfirth.
That's where I live.
There you go.
Well, I don't live there anymore. Let's go up. Last Hawaii.
Well, which long-running BBC series that started in 1973 was filmed mainly in Holmfirth?
Last of the Summer Wine. It's the longest running sitcom in the history of the world.
Really?
Yeah, and it was about a bunch of pensioners, and it started about a bunch of pensioners in 1970 whatever, and they were all in their kind of 50s, 60s, the actors, and it ran for I think 30 years. So by the end, all these actors are in their late 80s and die occasionally, to be honest. Yeah, most people in the UK think of Last Summer Wine as a joke. I adore the show, partly because you can see my house, the house I grew up in, relatively regular, and partly because I think it's nice, gentle Sunday afternoon viewing. Nice. I've got a load of Last Summer Wine DVDs over there.
I'll have to check it out one day. Maybe it's streaming somewhere.
It features very much the countryside of the reason it was filmed in Holmfirth. It features the countryside of Holmfirth, which is beautiful.
Nice. All right, number 5. Which of these villages is not in Huddersfield?
Interesting.
Honley,
That's
Bramley,
sort of.
Cowersley, and Newsom.
Cowersley.
What is the name of your local daily paper?
The Huddersfield Examiner. The Huddersfield Examiner. A bunch of scumbags. I'd like to point
the
out.
Correct answer is print is dead. No, I'm just kidding.
No. Well, I wish they would. Anyway, whatever. I don't like the Huddersfield Examiner.
The movie cinema is right next to the football stadium.
It is.
What is
it's almost like you've been there, Anthony.
That's just amazing. Listen, this is funtrivia.com. The lovely town of Huddersfield is the name of this game.
What we should have is got Cora up here to answer these questions. That would have been better.
So what was the name of the cinema?
Oh, the Odeon. It's not as good as the Showcase, though.
Okay, is the Showcase what it was first called? Because I don't see that as one of the choices.
It's not the Showcase, I can tell you that much. It's the Odeon. I'll fight you. Whoever said these questions got it wrong. Then what's it?
Well, we'll see. We'll see when we're at question 10. I'll submit your answers and see.
Okay.
All right. Which of the following poets hails from Huddersfield?
Oh, I know that. It's Simon Armitage, poet laureate of the UK, and actually one of the few poets I actually really, really like. Ted Hughes is from nearby, who used to be a poet laureate, but no.
They got demoted.
He died. I think you can't be poet laureate if you. I'd say that. I think you poet laureate's the Queen's poet. I don't know if you're aware of that. So yeah.
Right,
he wrote Iron Man. Did Ted Hughes, which then became Iron Man the film.
One of these actors is not from your town.
Okay.
Zoe Lucker, Patrick Stewart.
Yeah, I know who he is.
James Mason.
I know who he is.
And Hugh Grant.
Well, consider Hugh Grant's not from that town. Don't know who Zoe What's-Her-Face is.
Is that your answer, Zoe? What's her face?
No. I don't. No, Hugh Grant isn't from Huddersfield. I would know that. Patrick Stewart is sort of from Huddersfield, although he's kind of nearly from Huddersfield.
They stretch it a little bit to get that.
Yeah, stretching it a little bit. He was he supports a football team, and my wife once met him in the Showcase Cinema, which is not in Huddersfield. She worked in the Showcase Cinema, and he came in and he had a white linen suit, and she thought, "You are quite conspicuous." That was back when he was doing Star Trek. What was that? It's Hugh Grant.
Hugh Grant. All right, last question.
Yeah.
Which 20th century British Prime Minister was born in Huddersfield?
Harold Wilson.
Wow, right off the bat. All right, it's time to submit your scores and see how you did.
I might have got 9 because I'm not convinced about that Cowley question.
Well, number 1 is saying that it is actually Kingsgate Shopping Center, not Queensgate.
I said I knew it was a royal person.
You should have let me read the choices. I
don't care about.
You answered the first choice. You know,
listen,
that's not a good.
I'm not interested in knockoff Apple products. I only buy from the internet.
You answered
nothing for me in that shopping centre. Nothing.
You answered Cowersley for a village that is not in Huddersfield. This says it is Bramley.
Bramley. What?
All right, so here's the cinema one.
Yeah.
The correct answer is UCI, which stands for United Cinemas International.
Oh, it might have been it was UCI when it first opened. I think you're right. Yeah.
All right, and everything else you got right. Actors, prime ministers, poet laureates, all correct.
Zoe,
so well done.
What was the name? Oh, thank you.
Zoe Lucker.
Who on earth is Zoe Lucker?
Couldn't tell you.
Quick, Phil, while I look it up. Zoe Lucker, English actress, known for her roles in Footballers' Wives. Well, that's why I never watch Footballers' Wives.
Rubbish.
What's that about? Why don't they put Doctor Who in? She's more impressive.
I was actually surprised there were no Doctor Who questions in that.
It sounds like it's an old quiz.
Yeah, for sure.
UCI.
Well, Dan, that's going to wrap it up, folks. I cannot thank you enough for tuning in and saying hello in the chat. Thanks. We had a lot of people stop in. And if you're watching this after the fact, you can still ask some questions of Dan or leave some comments there.
Yeah, I'll stalk the comment section like the narcissist I am.
There you go.
If you want to follow what's going on with the CORAQUEST Kickstarter, that would be very nice. If you go to coraquest.com, then there's a link to the Kickstarter coming soon page, which you can click a link saying notify me when it comes, so that'll email you. Or there's an email thing you can sign up to. Or if you want to get involved, if your kids would like to have art in the game, then we would love your kids to have art in the game. If you join the CORAQUEST Facebook group, that's usually where we're putting out requests for art and things like that. I know some people don't like Facebook, so we do put it out on the website as well. But the easiest way to kind of catch that announcement is to join the CORAQUEST Facebook group, and it's fun there as well because you get pictures of people playing games with the kids. But also, often people send the pictures in, and they're really entertaining seeing kids. So it's a fun place to be. Is the CORAQUEST Facebook group? So if you do Facebook, then join us there.
Yeah, send me those links, Dan. Afterwards, I'll put them in the description of the video so people can access that really fast. And if you want to see a little more about the base game, Eric and I did a review about CORAQUEST as well, so I'll put a little spot up there for that. All right, my friends, that's going to do it for us today. The inaugural episode of Designer Debut with Dan Hughes.
Who's next? Rana Knizia?
Yeah, sure. I have a whole. They're knocking at the door now after they heard. No, just kidding. But we do have a couple more lined up for the next. Next few weeks,
people usually are happy to come in and chat.
And if you're watching this and you're a new designer or you're a budding designer and you have something you want to come on and talk about, I am happy to have you on and offer all the single-digit viewers that I can possibly rustle up to 9, and then after that, it's all over.
Get Frank West on. He's very entertaining. The designer of Isle of Cats. He's the favorite. Oh, I do a podcast as well. Sporadically Bored with Mike and Dan with Mike Dillis. Yeah, thank you. Bye-bye. Yeah,
Mike, good guy.
Yeah.
All right, folks, that's going to do it. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.